many of you have a B2B component to your business, just so I understand? Okay, awesome. And how many of you care about talent acquisition, where that's like a challenge for you, where you just need, How about talent engagement?
Yeah. Engagement?
Yeah, engagement inside the existing team. Okay, well, if that's the case, LinkedIn's been really important. Most importantly, I know that most of you are in operations, and you usually work behind the scenes. But I think that you guys all should think about LinkedIn as a way to build a moat around your career. So who here, show me your hands, who's posting on LinkedIn right now once a day? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
Personally or company-wise?
Personally. Okay, great. This is going to be really important. So we're going to talk about this, building his career. Listen, this is going to build a moat around your career. It's really, really important you do this. It's also great to lead by example for the rest of the team, and it's going to create a lot of leverage. But the first thing I want you all to know is you've been lied about what LinkedIn is. Most of you think it's a place you put your resume, or you go there to get talent, and you visit that. But believe it or not, there is a ton of activity on LinkedIn. There's 740 million members, and 66 million of them are active in the US. And 4 to 5 people on LinkedIn drive business decisions. These are decision makers that are there. These are not tire kickers. This is a place that if you want to do business, you need to be there. They're senior influencers. And 33% of them are business B2B decision makers. So if you have a B2B part of business, you know, like Cameron usually says, it is irresponsible not being on this social media channel. You have to be here. If there's one channel, one platform, you have to choose this one. Now, the biggest secret that most people don't know about LinkedIn, and this is why it's so fantastic right now, and a huge opportunity for all of you, is only 1% of all the active users on LinkedIn post. And there's 9 billion impressions available. So there's 66 million US active users, only 660,000 of them post. If you just post anything, people are going to see it for free. Like literally for free. So look at this. This is Cameron. So we've been working with just over a year. That was his impressions on his content before we started working with him, 439,000. Just posting once a day this type of content, he tripled it. For free. How much would you have to pay for that in paid ads? Just little snackable, tiny content. Now the trick is the content needs to be snackable. We're going to talk about that today and how to get there and what you need to do. So this is some of the content that we're doing. See how snackable it is, how easy it is? This literally is once you have the right system set up, it can only take you a few minutes a day. Because I know time is one of your biggest objections and one of your biggest problems. So before we get into all this, let's talk about some universal laws in general, okay? In general, people do not follow company pages on LinkedIn. We follow personal brands. This is the same thing for all companies. Like if you see Tesla here, 10 million. Microsoft, 10 million. But we see Elon Musk, 55 million. And Bill Gates, 55 million. So we follow people. We buy from people. So what you're going to focus on first when you get on LinkedIn, not that you shouldn't be focused on your company pages or ads or anything like that. First, focus on the senior leadership team, personal brand. It's good for you because it builds a moat around your career. 2, it's going to bring you more talent. So I discovered LinkedIn in 2018 when I had my second agency. My biggest problem was talent acquisition. And I was constantly being poached by Shopify, Facebook, and Google. And they take my juniors after I train them for a year, and they offer them an extra 40 grand, unlimited vacation, all this stuff. I just couldn't compete. So I was like, I have to get on LinkedIn and start building a brand and attracting them based on the values. And that's when I discovered it. I was like, wow, there's really something really cool here. Now, what is your personal brand? Your personal brand is just what other people say about you when you leave the room. Just remember, they don't remember what you said, but they remember how you made them feel. And this personal branding on LinkedIn gives you leverage at scale, right? And it's really, really important. So before we get into all this, let's look at some of the 10,000-foot view stuff that we need to do. Remember, we only buy from people we know, like, and trust. Everybody's heard this here before, right? Well, they can't trust you if they don't like you, and they can't like you if they don't know you. So posting on a regular basis begins the journey of know. Now, like depends on the type of content that you're going to publish. And over time is trust. But if you do this right, it doesn't actually take up a lot of your time. I'm going to I'm going to help you do that today. So the first thing you understand is, listen, stranger equals danger. Anybody here, hopefully you're not doing it, connecting and pitching? Or your team doing it? Let's not do that anymore. Let's warm them up. We don't want to do this on LinkedIn, right? The men will get this. It's the worst when this happens. Honestly, it just makes you look desperate. So stop it. You know, none of this connecting and pitching thing. Nobody likes it. At the end of the day, nobody likes being marketed to or sold to. So we want to, yeah, exactly. 10 days, super annoying, right? So we want to build up demand. And so what ends up happening is if you start posting when you do go to a conversation, it makes sense. And in fact, if you do want to participate this way, I encourage you to do it as a comment. It has more leverage. And if you leave a comment well, it's public. Everybody can see it and read it. Gives a lot more eyeballs. And then it makes sense to go to the private DMs later on. But generally speaking, don't do that. Even if it's for talent acquisition, you don't want to go directly to this without something being warm there. And this follows this, we talked about this yesterday, the 7-11 and 4 rule, which is in a book called Oversubscribed. Everybody should read it, written by Dan Priestley in 2014. And he talks about what are the things that we need to do to make major purchasing decisions, changing careers, investing our money, buying a car, making large B2B investments. Well, if you're a stranger, you're going to spend money with someone you don't know? Because what did we just agree on? We buy from people we know, like, and trust, right? So how do we do that at Leverage? Well, the way we do that is by getting our brand, our personal brands, where they can spend 7 hours with us, 11 different interactions in 4 different locations. And interactions could be in the comments, in the DMs, in Slack. What about here? Think about this community right here. You guys are in Slack, then you're here is the location. How much higher is your trust factor from being a part of this community between the emails, the interactions, and all the time that you're having here? It just fast tracks it. So what you're trying to do is fast track this with leverage, and by building a personal brand on LinkedIn, it gives you this leverage at scale. So before we get into this, let's talk about the LinkedIn profile and what you need to do, because I guarantee you most of you probably have not looked at your LinkedIn profile, but good news is there's really only 3 things you need to care about. Okay, and this is what's really important. So anybody ever heard of the Great Subway Experiment here before? No? Okay, it's really simple. This is Joshua Bell. Joshua Bell gets paid a lot of money, sells out his concert tickets really, really quick when he looks like this. Well, what they did is they stuck him in a subway like this, barely made 20 bucks. So your backdrop matters. The way you look matters. Your LinkedIn profile matters. So they're going to see your content, they're going to breadcrumb their way back, and they're going to creep your profile page. So you want it to look good, you want to have a little bit of positioning. Be clear on who you help and how you help. So this is a typical page. There's only 3 things you need to get right in this page, because people are not going to do a deep dive. They're not going to spend minutes researching you. They'll do that a little bit later on if they're going to do business with you, and they're like really close to making a decision. They might read your recommendations and stuff, but generally speaking, you need to have a header image. Does everybody have a header image on their LinkedIn profile? Does it clearly articulate who you help and how you help in like 3 seconds or less? Okay.
You mean actual wordings or?
Yeah, I even put the words up there real quick. So you can see for me, it has the image of me on stage, has me pointing my URL, tells everyone who I help and how you help. The next thing you need to care about is your profile photo. Some of you guys have profile photos from 10 years ago. You're catfishing everybody. And the last thing is your headline. And the reason why you want to have your headline right is because when you're commenting and participating in the social feed, this is what people see. And that's what they're mostly going to know and how you help and who you help. And that's what's going to trigger them of whether they want to go back to your profile or not. Now, you don't always have to have this in here. Even just having your title is fine. I understand not everybody wants to be so salesy like this. If you're not selling on LinkedIn, just your title is fine as well. But here's some things you can do with your profile image. So there is a site called Photo Feeler. It's 20 bucks. And if you're wondering if you have a good profile photo or not, I took a bunch of selfies real close. It gives that fishbowl look. One's not smiling, one's smiling. And you get strangers, and you want strangers, not people who like know who you are because they have biases. They have a lens on what you're like and what your best photo is. But you can find out how competent, how likable and influential you are. You can see, like if I went with this not smiling, bearded look, selfie fishbowl look, you know, my likability score is 3.7. But if I go with professional headshot, close up from a photographer, smiling, 9.8. I know we don't want to think we judge people this way, but we do. First impressions matter. So put up a good photo.
I used that, and the pictures that I picked were not the ones anybody else picked.
Is
Every
it?
picture I thought, well, this one or this one will definitely win, they came at the bottom.
Yeah.
So I switched it to be what they chose, not what I chose.
Yeah, it's great because we also, like, I run this all the time. Some people are like, I don't look nice smiling. I hate my smile, and I have this like snaggletooth. No one cares, but because when you have a fake smile, you know, or anything else, like we can tell. So this is a great way to kind of sort through it and cut through your own unbiases. So just check some things. Make sure it looks like you at the end of the day. Make sure it takes up 60% of the frame. Smile with your eyes. Everybody seen a fake smile before? Right? The eyes, we know. Wear what you wear to work. So, just keep it general. Don't wear sunglasses. Don't do this bromance stuff where you're like sitting on your Corvette car or any kind of busy backgrounds or anything like that, right? And just remember, at the end of the day, we always pay more for experts, so try to niche down and figure out who your audience is. And this is where it comes into that dog whistle copy. Everybody's heard of dog whistle copy before? No. Okay, come on, really? Okay, so when we blow a dog whistle, who hears it? Just the dogs, right? Remember, 50% of marketing is repelling. So this is where we come up. This is the formula that's really easy. We help, or I help, get blank want or aspiration so they don't need to worry about blank frustration or fear. Now, before we start creating content, we need to be clear about the audience we're speaking to. So if it's for your own personal career, that's fine to build a moat around it. If it's to be for talent, if it's for your existing team, I can't tell you how often my team is able to get more engagement and buy-in from our existing team by me and my partners just posting on LinkedIn. They're watching you. They see it. It's a great way to get internal buy-in and enablement. It's also a great way to attract talent because when you can't compete on price or you have other big companies who are stealing your talent, not everybody is motivated by money. So here's a little bit of a formula to get your headline right. Just go role, expertise, and value. Here's some examples. CEO, big time SEM, SEO, PPC expert, helping schools increase student enrollment. See how clear it is, who we help and how we help? Same thing, Hume, 15 years, helping businesses automate boring HR tasks. Video producer, helping Fortune 500 companies create snackable viral videos. Helping e-commerce stores increase conversions. MailChimp, an active campaign expert, can't beat me at Scrabble. Don't be worried to have a little bit of personality. These are all headlines we've helped clients write. President asked me I can help CEOs and business owners explode growth with working less. So these are some fun things that you can do with your headline. Put a little copy in it, put a little energy into it. Also, don't forget about your values. I mean, everyone's here, everyone knows this value. So who recognizes these values? Over-deliver, be open, grow, right? Have fun. This will always be the core of your content. So whenever you're writing content, always remember it's tied to this at the end of the day. Because what do we always say before? We don't remember kind of what you do until we know why you do it, right? This comes back to the Simon Sinek thing. And everybody loves Simon Sinek stuff. Now, before you get into this, I know a lot of you are like, okay, who's my audience? We're going to build like one of these things, right? And everyone who has these in their business, these persona things, they're not really that helpful, and I'll tell you why, okay, at the end of the day. It's a signal, but demographics is not a great way of going about doing it, because if we did that and we took these two examples, here's two completely different people. They're both males, they're both born in 1948, both raised in the UK, both live in a castle, both wealthy and famous, but if you marketed to them in the same way, it wouldn't go over very well. So what we want to do is we want to become mind readers when we're posting content. What we really need to understand is we really need to understand our audience and who we're speaking to. And we actually need to be able to describe their problems better than they can describe it themselves. Because when we do that, we instantly earn trust. Because a problem that can't be described can't be solved. And so how we get there is through something called an empathy mapper. Has anybody ever seen an empathy mapper before? Okay, this is a really important exercise that you're going to want to do with your audience and everyone you market to in general. You're going to want to write down what their frustrations are, what their wants are, what their fears are, and what their aspirations are based on every single title or audience member that you have. So if you market to the CFO, CEO, VP of whatever it is, you need to have one done for each one of these. And basically, just remember, human beings are really simple. I know we think we're really smart, but we buy emotionally and justify things later logically, and we just move away from pain towards pleasure. That's it. It's probably because we're like chimpanzee, we come from chimpanzees at the end of the day, right? So it's really that simple. Now, what most people miss is they usually always get the frustrations and wants, but no one spends enough time on the fears and the aspirations, because that's the stuff that people are thinking, but they won't say out loud. And that's the stuff that's imagined. And unfortunately, sometimes the stuff that's imagined feels more real than the stuff that's actually real. And those are the things that are really motivating us. So here's some of the questions you're going to want to ask as you're going through this. I'm just going to zip through some of these, but these are some things you might want to ask about frustrations. What is their team not doing now? What keeps stealing their time each day? Where are their current partners failing? What are they paying for that's just not getting done? Where's the rework that's happening? These are all great questions to have. You'll get the deck, but just ask these questions to your team. This is a great way to go through, or before you start creating content. This is something we go through with every single client before we go through, and we start asking these clients, what do they wish their team would do or their software could do? What if they had a magic wand and they could just wave it and make it better? What would that look like, right? And again, we're going to get into fears here. These are questions you're going to want to ask. How has someone sold them something similar and it failed? That's never happened, right? What is their imposter syndromes? Who here doesn't post because you have a little bit of imposter syndrome? Yeah, all of us. It's really common, right? It never really goes away. What's keeping them up at night where they can't sleep? What are their partners thinking about them? What will the board think? How are they going to be exposed as being a fraud? These are all the questions we want to go deeper. This is stuff that people are thinking, but they won't say out loud. Cameron's really good about doing this in his content in general, of saying things that people are thinking and being vulnerable, and it pulls people in. So these are things that you actually want to talk about at the end of the day. And aspirations is a little bit more of the opposite of the fears, of course, but think about where do they aspire to be at the end of the day? What do they wish their employees would say? Who could they make jealous? What is their underdog story? Everybody has one. And they're interesting, especially if you share them. If people want to know these things about you, and that's actually what makes you more interesting. Because remember, they can't trust you unless they like you. Okay, so now that you have this down, once you have this down, now you're ready to start creating content, because you're going to be able to create tension. And without tension, there is no action. So I always like to think of it as like an elastic band, right? So when you have an elastic band, you put fears and frustrations on one side and wants and aspirations on the other. But if you only ever talk about the fears and frustrations, the elastic band is loose. It doesn't do anything. There's no tension. Same thing with the wants and aspirations. You need to stack them and pull it together, create that tension. And when you let it go, it goes boom, flying through the air. And that's when you can actually get people to take action, right? So this is why we always stack a fear or frustration with a want and an aspiration when you're creating a video. And you need to understand the jobs to be done framework. Who here understands the jobs to be done framework? No? Okay, this is great. You guys are, okay, awesome. So jobs to be done framework is really simple. We don't go into the store to buy a drill, do we? No. We buy it because we want a hole in the wall, right? No. We buy it because we want to hang the family photo above the fireplace, right? No, we do it because we want our partner to stop nagging us about putting the bloody photo on the wall, right? That's why we're walking in, so you have to really understand where you're going, the jobs to be done. So what you do to do this is you just do this, you take the role, all right? COO. When I am speaking with my CEO, I wish I could know how to say no without shutting down their ideas. So, I can keep them happy and still protect the team from acting on too many ideas. If that sounds like you, I want you to pay attention to this video. If that sounds like you, I want you to read the rest of this post. If that sounds like you, I want you to go through this image carousel. That's how you pull them in. And you just need to do this with who you're speaking to, and that's how you start your videos. That's how you start your content. Because you're able to describe what? Their problems better than they can describe it themselves. And when you do that, you gain instant trust. And that's really what we're after with anyone working with to build a brand, is trust. Now I know here's the biggest challenge. Everyone's going, oh my God, I don't have time to do all this. Of course you don't. But the good news is there is a lead domino to be able to do this. I'm going to show you how to do this today and how we do it with Cameron, because we're able to create all of Cameron's content in 1 hour per month. And so I didn't come up with this idea. I literally just stole it from this guy because I'm not very bright. And I think Cameron calls it R&D it, right? Rip off and duplicate whenever possible. And so this gentleman went out and he was like, hey, do pillar content, slice and dice it and distribute it everywhere. It's like, that sounds like a good business. How about I just do that for other people? And so this is what we do. We literally do this. We do an interview in an hour. That's the lead domino. We slice it and dice it into all the little content. Why it works so well is because we actually lead with the intention of it being snackable. So when you create content for social media, in general in the newsfeed, people are going there to procrastinate or to discover. No one is there for long-form content. The content is there to keep you top of mind or to be discovered. If you want to demonstrate your ability, you need the long-form content. So the short form is top of mind or bait, and then the long form, like the podcast, is where you demonstrate your ability, and that's where the conversion event happens, or your 10-minute amplifier video, or whatever it is. And then for those who are not in market, you need to put them somewhere else, in a controlled environment, like a newsletter, a community, or something else where you can build goodwill, reciprocity, where it doesn't feel sleazy like marketing or sales. But this is what we do. This lead domino creates that, and then it creates 1,000 impressions. And if you're consistent with it, it works extremely, extremely well. And this is sort of what the funnel looks like. And if you do it well, it's actually what's called an invisible marketing funnel, which is what you want your funnels to feel like. If they actually feel like marketing funnels, right? Nobody likes them. So what you do is do the interview, slice and dice the content. You build a list as well, connect to your ideal prospects, but don't pitch them, because you got to grow your audience there. Post the content, repetition, time, bigger network, trust, and brand. And next thing you know is you have something called demand, right? For who you are as a personal brand or for your company or whatever at scale. And so here's the way you want to create the content. Just remember the ACEs method, okay? It just stands for authority, connect or comedy, engage, and show. So here's authority content. This is Cameron's content, right? 3 things CEOs wish they could tell their CEOs. Now, authority content is what most people lean into all the time naturally, which is awesome, but it shouldn't be the stuff that you post all the time. Because it makes you boring, it makes you sound like a know-it-all and not very likable. Like on a piano, right? If you just played one key all the time, it's a terrible song. We want to play all the keys. And so what people always forget is they forget to do the connection pieces, right? This is Cameron. His story about losing some weight. People love this. How he's fired from a $100 million company. Your business is nothing without people, right? Where does this hit you? Chances I won't use the fuck in a sentence today. Comedy, right? You have to hit people in the gut, the heart, or the funny bone. That's it. Just remember, gut, heart, funny bone, right? Engage. Now, a lot of you guys are making your content way too hard. You don't have to create all your content. Just ask your community and your audience to create it for you. A poll is a simple way to do that. It takes 30 seconds to do that. Or how about this? Do you have the CEO disease? Right? We just list it all off. It creates simple content. And there we are. So you don't always have to create it, right? I pulled the CEOs at CEO Lines, pulled together the compensation sheet and Google Sheet. If you want the salaries of other CEOs, comment below. Also, this is people called raising their hand who end up in your sales funnel or your marketing funnel, because now you can deliver an asset that's not sales in season. They asked for it, right? So this is kind of a version of the Dean Jackson 9-word email, but in social media, and you can do this all the time with your assets. And then show, most people always think it's sell, it's not, it's show. Just show sneak peeks behind the scene of what's going on. So here's Cameron, and we have a photo here, Richard Branson with one of his books, Double Double, right? Then we have over here testimonial from someone else. People don't believe that you're amazing, but we believe it when other people say you're amazing. Or even just capturing moments behind the scenes. Like, believe it or not, taking a lot of photos of your team and tagging them and including them in the process is the best way of creating content at the end of the day and getting buy-in. So at the end of the day, listen, Rome was not built in a day, but I just want you guys to remember it's all about being consistent, right? So even like really bad content, C+ content that is consistent will outperform inconsistent A+ content. So you have to post on a regular basis, but you got to make it easy for yourselves. Set yourselves up for success so that it's really easy. The way we do it with our clients is 1 hour of their time, and it just magically gets done after that. And for busy people, that's usually the real issue for them. It's time, people, and processes are always the things they're trying to solve. Because more processes, more people, more problems. I don't know why, but it just seems to have to work that way. Now, I also want to make it easy for you. Even if you're not going to work with us, I have an asset here. And this asset is ungated. You just go to it today, automationwolf.com, swipe files. It's a Google Doc. And I put all these swipe files. Like you can literally just go in there and fill in the blank, and in the mornings or later in the afternoons, just write in the fill in the blank and create content for you. So you don't have to think about it. So inspiration doesn't always strike when you want it, but this will make it easier for you. Cool, that's all I got for today.